Shortly before I left San Francisco to go to Chicago, there was this case that was very popular that I didn't know about because I'd been out of the country. And it was about this man who had been deported and somehow made it back to the United States more than a couple of times, and had allegedly gotten a hold of a police gun and had shot a white woman and killed her. And there was things going on at the time that was able to get him get him out of the charges because of jurisdiction. There was an argument about appropriate jurisdiction for consideration of the case. He got off on a technicality. Nobody really discussed what it means that law enforcement officers have alias licenses for weapons. So even if this man actually had the gun and actually shot her, the question is, was he being used as an alias in order to effectuate an actual act of assassination that was either using that woman literally for an act of assassination because of something she had done or something someone in her family had done, or had used her in that act of assassination as part of a hedging strategy that made available future options to murder women and get off on a technicality. Because I can tell you that's exactly what that case was. And that it has been promulgated with an intention to set up options for the murders of women in the future. And that the culprits were to be able to get off. They were able to find some technicality to have the case against them dropped so that they would not have to be held accountable. And insofar as they may actually be used, and their lives may be used as an alias for somebody else to engage a proxy or derivative action, the intellectual authors would also get off. There have been several cases that have happened in the last couple of years, several things that have occurred, and more recently things that have occurred to effectuate that very end. Bond versus Floyd. Everybody wants to get all up in arms about what happened to George Floyd in Minneapolis during a time frame when Minneapolis had a major municipal bond issue. Other cities had bond issues at that time too, including cities that started rioting around that time. There are cities that just this past week had bond issues that had some very notable events connected. Another person was murdered recently in Atlanta in a very strategic time frame, whose last name also corresponds with another case that has very significant implications that basically provide options for exonerating or removing the possibility for prosecution of people in high office, people in high levels, to get away with it. Your bail bonds are being flipped to cover up their crimes and to give them the options of a get out of jail card free. And you know what? They're not even going to bring charges. What they're going to do is they're going to take your effort to hold them accountable and they're going to put you under a sealed indictment because they stole your identity and they wanted to set up some accounts with some of their lawyer friends in other countries for their cases. And then every once in a while, if they've got an old a frat mate or an old sorority mate from the State Department, they might get to use you as some sort of foreign assistance. And then when they're able to remotely program you to effectuate a murder in another country that ends up impacting their pocketbook here, all of a sudden, you become a candidate for a secret indictment yourself. Now, what they'll do, as my experience, is they will torture you. And they will put you in a position where you have to provide a defense for accusations coming at you that are really legitimately, justifiably for somebody else, including one of their friends that has some form of governmental or sovereign immunity, right? Or some other form of immunity. Especially if they're actually members of a bar association, and they may be implicated for abuse of their power as a member of the judicial branch of government. But they are putting you in their stead to work the defense. And if they aim at you and you deflect it and it hits one of theirs, bam! You committed the crime. And they're not going to unseal that indictment until they've already stolen all of your evidence and claimed it as theirs. And that's why they never actually arrest you. That's why they never actually press charges. They can't actually do it because all they're trying to do is get you to use your work and your life, where you've been doing what you've been doing, to cover up for their crimes. That's literally what I believe is going on right now. You guys scored an 88 in Chicago yesterday. After an 88 in Dallas 2 Saturdays ago. That's 13 days. You murdered your own people as part of a long-term hedging strategy, and you want to have them go out. This isn't about race right now. Who are your people? Who are your people? Why are you trying to put whistleblower protections on a day when there's a deposit into the Central Bank of Russia? Why are you bonding American whistleblowers to Russia? There's no way you don't know exactly what you did. Who's the traitor here? I got this book here. Let me see if I can find it. Sometimes I got a problem with it because I read an original source document. It says the Constitution was a little bit different right after it was written, right? But let me just make sure. I just want to make sure. I could be wrong. It's right here. It's the official version. I just want to make sure I got this correct. Article 3, Section 2. The judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties made, or which shall be made under their authority, to all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and councils, to all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction, to controversies to which the United States shall be a party. Does a prime minister of a foreign nation count as other public minister? How about councils, as in, I don't know, ambassadors to other countries? If you are hedging your bets that you'll be the future president, or you'll be the cabinet mate of a future president, or even vice president, and you start manipulating your own constituents in order to try to find favor as part of your ambition for higher office, would that qualify under Article 3, Section 2? See, if you steal my effort to hold accountable a particular offense, and you try to continue to traffic me and my life to cover up for things you already did that were not a part of that case at the time, but in the course of so doing are revealed to have literally stolen my efforts at my own due process in order to avail yourselves of political benefits, then all of a sudden, the case is no longer about who it was supposed to be at the beginning, is it? It becomes about you. And if you try to put me in the crossfire, or you try to make me a target to make a proxy for the person that I would have prosecuted, if you hadn't interfered, what does that say about you? And that's exactly what you've been doing for the last 3 years. And every time it goes wrong, You need to present those charges to me directly, or you need to drop them now.